Welcome back to the Auto Authorities Podcast. My name is Jay Grosman. I am the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent coming to you today. We have a ton of golden nuggets about your burning questions that you've wanted to know. And this is from you, listeners, and people that view this every single week on our Facebook group page. Your burning questions about buying and selling cars. And we are going to do this right now. Everybody ready? Let's go. Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride when buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the podcast that tells you what to watch out for, whether you're buying, selling,
or repairing your car.
With 47 years of automotive experience, we are the Automotive Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAutoAgent. We're real estate agents for cars.
And Quality Auto STL. Trusted services with no surprises.
Boom! Booyah! Welcome back to the Auto Authorities Podcast. My name is Jay Grosman. I am the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent. And we have such an amazing show for you today. We have been asking you to ask us questions, and boy, the questions are really flowing in. But before we begin, I want to thank our sponsors, Podcastify.me. That is Podcastify.me. They are the ones that make this beautiful show for us every week for almost 2 years now, coming to you, answering the questions that you've always wanted to know. Raw and uncut. This is not planned. And if you are just joining us, there's several ways that you can watch us. Number one is our Facebook group page. It is on Facebook. It is a group page. It's called the Auto Authorities Podcast. You simply click join group and you can be part of our wonderful community. You can ask questions, anything that you even wanted to know. And as we go today, ask questions. Let us know like what your thoughts are about the information you're getting. Maybe you don't agree. Maybe you do agree. Maybe you have questions that you want to hear. And then also you can watch us recorded on our YouTube page, the Auto Authorities, and you can just simply click the notifications button and the subscribe button and then be alerted for this amazing show every single week. And then if you just want to listen to us while you're driving to work, we're on iTunes, Pandora, Amazon. We're on every channel you can possibly think about. And you can just listen to us because we want to make sure that you have the best information. And this is sponsored by iAutoAgent, my wonderful company. We are real estate agents for people's cars. We simply help people buy vehicles. We have a vehicle finder program nationwide. We help everything from A to Z. We communicate with the dealers or private owners. We can help with new or used. We can schedule your test drives. We can help you get the best financing rates. We can make it so we do all the work for you and eliminate the back and forth, sometimes games, unfortunately, at the dealers. And then you also have our selling program where it's called our concierge program, and we help people sell their vehicle. We get them top dollar. We market, we list, we show their vehicle at no cost to them and handle the money transaction, and you get a check in the end. And you don't have any involvement with having to go meet strange people. We do it all for you. So let's get into this. I'm going to be reading some questions today that were given to me by you. And the first question comes to us from David B. He says, when is the best time of the year to purchase a new car? Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the new cars, and I'm even going to go into the used cars because purchasing a new car is one of the most difficult things in the world to do. Why is it? Because we have a chip shortage. There's not a lot of vehicles available. However, things are changing right now, and everything in this world is based on supply and demand. So if you are looking, David, at a new vehicle that is a very desirable vehicle, such as, I'm just going to give you a couple that are really desirable, a Kia Telluride or a Kia Carnival or any type of Toyota product, you're going to wait at least 4 months probably to be able to get that vehicle. Now, it's going to vary depending on what part of the country you're in, but those are very highly desired vehicles. Now, if you are looking for a new vehicle, here is my theory on this. The prices are not going down, folks. They're only going up. So if you know that you're going to be buying a new vehicle, do it now. It doesn't even matter what time of the year it is for a new vehicle because they're only going to go up in price. That's it. And if you get in now and you order it, you'll get it in 4 months. Some of them actually also, like there's other brands that are available right now. There are vehicles on ground right now. We talked about it in some of our previous podcasts, but Jeep is one of them. Nissan has vehicles available. But again, when you're going into some of these really highly desired vehicles, you're not going to be able to get them right now. So the next question to answer is the used cars. Here's how the used car market works. The used car market is always seasonal. What do I mean by that? So it peaks in March, April, May, June, July. August starts going down a little bit. September goes down. October goes down. November goes down. And December, it bottoms out. And that even includes into January and February. They're very, very rough months. So what does that mean? If you're looking to buy a vehicle, especially a used vehicle, this is the very, very best time to purchase one because the demand is down. You don't have as much competition, and the dealerships are pricing the vehicles according to what the market is. And the market is way, way down. So I've been saying this for a while. If you like to buy vehicles on a discount, buy now, especially used vehicles. And the other thing that I've also talked about is, should you buy new or should you buy used? Well, I think right now is the best time to buy a used vehicle. I wouldn't have said that 5 months ago because the prices were sky high. But basically, I know some of you can't see me, but it used to be with the used car prices right at the top, the new car prices were here. So the used car prices were more than the new car prices. And then it started to shift. And the used car prices are lower than the new car prices. And now they're becoming way lower than the new car prices. So great opportunity to buy. David, I hope I answered your question. We're going to go right into the next question here. What is the right time in life of a vehicle to think about selling it while it still has value? And that comes from David Berger. He's one of our really close clients and business colleagues. David, so this is a great question because right now in the world we live in, we don't know whether we want to put the money to the mechanic or we want to put the money into a new vehicle. And here's my rule of thumb on that. Depending on what the value is, there's not like a one-word answer or a one easy answer for you. But if you look at, say, the value, we were talking to somebody the other day, and they had a $10,000 car, and they were going to go stick $3,000 in a $10,000 car to keep it running, and it had 150,000 miles on it. And it's like, that's 30% of the value of the vehicle that you are like putting out there. And the problem is when you have to go fix vehicles, you're only fixing what is wrong now. You are not fixing what is wrong down the road. So if we have a 150,000 mile vehicle and it's worth 10 grand, you don't go sticking $3,000 in the vehicle. You want to trade it in because there's a lot of dealers that will take that vehicle in on trade as it sits. They'll fix it up or they'll sell it to the auction. And then you can get yourself into another vehicle and you're better off putting that $3,000 down towards another vehicle. And like if it is, I'm going to give you another example because that was a older vehicle. I'm going to give you an example of a newer vehicle. So a newer vehicle, let's say you have a 3-year-old vehicle, a 2019, and the same scenario, it's $3,000 to fix it, but that 2019 might be worth 25 grand. It's probably better just to put the money into that just to fix it instead of like going to get a new vehicle. So, and this is for everybody. This is what we're here for. If you have questions specifically on your situation, put it in the chat, put it in the comments. Maybe you're thinking about hopping out of your vehicle right now and you're not sure if you should. Put it in the chat or send us a message at theautoauthorities.com. That's theautoauthorities.com, because we'll answer those questions for you and make sure that you make an educated decision. And David, hopefully that answers your question. This next question comes to us from Julio, and Julio asks, what is the, so like he does a lot with aftermarket parts and modifications, and he wants to know, what is the impact, positive or negative, when you are doing these modifications? Now, let's talk about modifications. I'm going to talk about the very easy modifications that have zero impact, and then I'm going to talk about the modifications that are going to have massive impact. So if you just decide, well, I'm going to go ahead and put, tinted windows on my car, that's fine. I'm going to replace the wheels on my car with fancier wheels. Now we're getting into something that could affect it on a positive, but it also could affect it on the negative. The rule of thumb in the industry, and I have been doing this almost 26 years right now. I'm going on my 26th year doing this. So what we tell people is keep the vehicle stock. And stock means how does it come from the factory? When you start lowering a vehicle or you start putting a different radio system into it, that is not necessarily going to be positive. In fact, it could be completely negative. And people will look at that and saying, I don't know if I like that stereo system. I want to put my own stereo system in. Or even in more extreme example is that person that buys the Mustang GT and they go put a chip in it to make it faster, and then they put a different exhaust on it. Are there people out there that like that? Yes. But what is the real perception when people see all this stuff modified? What is that perception? The perception is like, ooh, I wonder if they roughhoused the car, or wonder if they, didn't take care of it because, they have racing wheels on it. They have a chip. They have an exhaust. But there also are other people out there that really do like that stuff too. Like, it's not everybody. But whenever you modify a car, it will always take out usually a large chunk of people who would potentially want to buy that car. One thing that can actually be as a positive when you modify it is when you lift a vehicle. Now, that is usually a truck or a Jeep. When you lift a vehicle, you will find people that love the fact that it's lifted. But I will tell you this, all these things that you do to your vehicle, this is one of the biggest mistakes people make, so listen closely. They want to recover every dollar that they put into the vehicle, and that doesn't happen. And if you like it, do it for yourself. Doing a lift, it's probably not going to hurt the value too much. You start changing paint jobs and changing interior. And like, even on some of like these German cars, when you start to like manipulate, like putting radio systems and stereo systems, you could really mess up the wiring and you could potentially void the warranty as well. So be very, very careful with that. And for all of you that are just joining us, we're talking about your burning questions about buying and selling cars answered today. There's a lot of golden nuggets being revealed as we speak. Put your comments below as we talk. What are the questions either you have? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you don't agree with what I'm saying? Do you have a specific situation that you're going through right now with your car and you would like it answered? Put it below, or simply send us a message at AutoAuthorities.com. And we're going to go into our next question. This one comes from Tony. He asks the actual trade-in process when there is an existing loan on the trade. So what he's asking is, when you're trading in a vehicle, and let's say you have an existing loan, you have a couple choices. Number one, you can pay down that loan if you owe more than what it's worth in order to get you to a break even. So let's say you owe $15,000 and the dealership says it's worth 10. Well, that means it will be $5,000 out of equity. So you have a couple choices. You can put down $5,000 of your own money to make it a break even, or you can roll that $5,000 into the next vehicle. Here's where this is going to get really sticky for you in the long run. If you roll that $5,000 into the next vehicle, you are automatically $5,000 out of equity on the vehicle now that you're just moving it to the next vehicle. Now, let's face it, dealers on an average are going to want to make $4,000 to $5,000 on your vehicle. That means they're going to give you $4,000 to $5,000 less than what they're going to sell it for. Dealers are in business to make a profit. Those beautiful buildings don't come because they're not making profits. So let's say that the vehicle is marked up on the low end, $4,000, and you're rolling $5,000. Now you have $9,000 of inequity going into that next vehicle. And that is a bad, bad deal. Because when you are on a 5-year loan, you are not going to break even on that 5-year loan till about 4 years into it. And if you're carrying $9,000, you will never break even on that. So just keep that in mind. And Tony, I hope that answers your question. We have another question. This one is from Lou. And Lou says, is it better to sell private than to take a trade-in from the dealer? Well, you may be surprised at my answer. It depends on the vehicle. Now, let's use one scenario. Let's use a car that is in bad shape. And I'm going to give you an example of one because we had somebody come to AutoAgent that wanted to sell a vehicle. It was damaged in the front hood, and the fender. The front fender was just damaged. So it would have taken a body shop to fix that. They probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,000 to $5,000 worth of damage on the vehicle. Retail value on that vehicle was like $7,000. So it's basically almost like a total out. So they came to us and they're like, hey, we want to sell this through your concierge program at AutoAgent. And we said, we are not the best fit. And they at that point just needed to sell the vehicle. What my advice would be is to trade that vehicle to the dealer, or even simply call AutoAgent and we'll give you the best advice. But in that situation, it did not make sense for her to fix it, and it would be better for her to trade it. If she would have tried to sell that vehicle on her own, Lou, then she would have never gotten any more than the dealership would have offered, because the people that are going to buy that vehicle are not your everyday person. They are dealerships. Dealerships are going to buy that vehicle, and the smaller dealers. And I assure you, if you tried to sell that vehicle on your own, you would not want to, the person that you're meeting, you would not want to invite them home to dinner. But let's give a different example. We had a client come to us with a 2020 Hyundai Palisade. They were offered between $36,000 to $38,000 for their vehicle through the dealership. The values that dealers are getting on these are between $45,000 to $46,000. AutoAgent offered them $43,000 for that vehicle. If they would have tried to sell it on their own, here's the problem with that. Number one, when you throw something on Facebook Marketplace, we've talked about this, or AutoTrader, I can tell you right now, you are not going to get people flocking to buy your vehicle. The other thing is, too, you owe money on that vehicle. So when someone buys that vehicle from you, you will be able to give them the title, but you will not be able to give them the lien release. They will have the vehicle and title, but that vehicle will not be paid off. And when you're working with a private owner, that's a very, very scary situation because you have to rely on that private owner to pay off that vehicle for you and to get you that lien release. Otherwise, you have a piece of paper that says you have a car, but if you don't have that lien release, you cannot register that car legally. So in that situation, it was much better to go through iAutoAgent. You could try to sell the vehicle on your own, but I'm telling you right now, the way that this market is, it is a tough, tough market. And it's not going to get any better, folks. The market is on the way down. We had talked about this, that the used vehicle market was so high. Now it's finally coming down. So all those huge amounts of money that you wanted for your vehicle and you decided to wait, those monies are not there anymore. And it's even going to keep going down and down and down. It's a losing stock. So hopefully, Lou, that answers your question. The next question is a really good question, is from Rob. And Rob asks, where's the best place to get the best interest rates? This is a huge topic right now because we have all been used to these super low rates. Now, when I first got in the business, 8 to 9% was the average rate on a 60-month or a 5-year loan. Then in the last, I don't know how many years now, rates have been hovering right about 2.49% for a 60-month on a newer used vehicle. Now, the older the vehicle, the rates are going to be higher, but on a newer one within a couple years old. So here's what's happened now. The rates right now, where we can get the rates, are right around 3.79 for great credit for 60 months. Still not bad. But most places are 5.5 or more percent for a 60-month loan. So my answer to your question is the best place to get the lowest rates are credit unions, 100%. And I'm going to give you a golden nugget here. When you are going to buy a vehicle, do not rely upon the dealership rates. Make yourself an educated consumer by calling your local credit union. We have some great ones that we work with. Let them let you know what the rates are. Now, some of the dealers work with the credit unions that you work with, so you can go right through that credit union at the dealership. Well, the other thing that I want to share with you is there's something about service. So the credit unions that we work with give incredible service to our clients. And that way you could even just walk into the dealership with a check and pick the car you want. It's like walking in with cash. Now, dealerships don't like that, I will tell you, but this isn't about them. It's about you. And you have to look out for yourself first and not worry about what anybody else thinks. So going to the credit unions is going to be the best bet. If you go to a bank, banks are not as good as doing loans as credit unions are. It takes longer. It's a much more bulkier process than a credit union. So, Rob, I hope that answers your questions about the best interest rates. And we have a couple more questions, but before we get to those questions, if you are just tuning in, we are talking about the burning questions about buying and selling cars answered today. Leave your questions below. If you're listening to us on iTunes or YouTube or our Facebook group page, the Auto Authorities Podcast, we have a community of people that are asking these questions, and let's educate each other. I always say this. Whenever we're working with a client at iAutoAgent, we always want them to make an educated decision. And by getting this information, whether you're looking for a car now or whether you're not, share this with other people that you know. Like, hey, listen to the Auto Authorities. This is raw and uncut, folks. It is not planned. So the next question actually comes from Linda, and she's asking the nitrogen in tires, is it a scam or is it not? So let's talk about nitrogen in tires. Nitrogen in tires is basically a gas, just like anything is, but it has thicker molecules. And because it has thicker molecules, it keeps the air from coming out of your tires as fast. So in theory, the more air in your tires that you don't lose the air, your tires will last longer. Here's my opinion on this, and sorry if you don't agree with me, but I think it's a bunch of bull. I do not believe in that. It is a very expensive machine that dealers buy. In fact, my neighbor just told me that he was charged extra when he bought his vehicle because it had nitrogen in the tires. It's a bunch of bull, guys. It is. Let me tell you this. I'm driving an Acura TLX right now. I've been driving this car for, I don't know, probably about 6 months. We've had hot and cold weather. I have never put air in the tires ever. And then all these cars have these, they have readouts, and just do the air in the tires that's right in the door. Like right when you open the door in the door jamb, it tells you how much air you're supposed to put in your tires. And you may lose air because it is the air pressure is changing. When it gets colder, you lose air. When it gets warmer, you get more air. It expands. So I really do not believe in that crap. I think I call it scam. So Linda, hope that answers your question. I have a final question, and this is a really good one because this is a huge topic that people are talking about: EV vehicles or electric vehicles. This one comes from Pat S. And Pat says, what is the best sedan that is not a Tesla that is an electric vehicle? And I'm just going to go through my soapbox here. You may not like what I say, and you're more than welcome to put your answers or your questions or your comments in. But I do not think the United States as a whole is ready for electric vehicles, period. Now, I know you might love your Tesla, and frankly, there is nothing that competes with the Tesla right now in my eyes. There are other vehicles that are SUVs out there that are EV vehicles. Everybody's trying to copy Tesla. So far, nobody has even come close. There are all kinds of speculations that there's going to be EV vehicles in the next 5 years. I don't believe it. There's a lot of complications with EV vehicles. And if you've been listening to our podcast, you're going to see, or you're going to hear that, we have problems getting materials, and the amount of volume that they want to do with these, it's going to be a very, very tough thing for them. It's going to be very hard to make it mainstream. I'm not saying it's not. And at some point, we will have electric vehicles, but we're so far away from that now. And I would say this: you're better off buying a freaking hybrid, because that is a partial electric vehicle. It's still good for our environment. Like a Prius would be a perfect vehicle. They get 50, 60 miles of the gallon. What do you need an electric vehicle for? All it does is complicate things. You have to have a charging station, or you got to at your house, or you have to have a charging station, throughout the country. And there in St. Louis, there's hardly any of them. It may be different depending on where you live. But I will say this: I don't think there is a vehicle right now that can compete with Tesla. If you want an EV vehicle, you should buy a Tesla. But again, I'm not a huge fan of those, period. There's also going to be a lot of other issues with what happens when the vehicle breaks. Who's going to fix it? Where are they going to get parts? It's not like your typical fix. It's kind of like a cell phone when it breaks. These are over the air updates. There's a lot of things that need to be worked out. But hopefully that answers your question, Pat. And thanks everybody for listening. Please leave comments below. Please share this with people. Go to the AutoAuthorities.com and put your questions, your comments. And again, my name is Jay Grosman. I am the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent.com. We will see you next week. Peace.